Everything has its story. Hardly a moment goes by in our lives when we are not listening to, telling, or creating one. Stories help us discover our past, gain perspective, and survive. They help us pass down significant facts to future generations and preserve our history. Now in its 81st year, the North Shore Art League has all the makings of a truly great story. This is Winnetka, located just 17 miles north of Chicago. Following a tree-lined Elm Street, you'll pass over the railroad tracks, connecting to Chicago's commercial enterprises that gave many of Winnetka's citizens their claim to fame. If you continue to head east on Elm, you'll hit the shore of Lake Michigan, giving this town its familiar designation as the North Shore. The area's lakeside and wooded views are some of the more spectacular on the Illinois shoreline. It is in this picturesque location that we find the past and present of the North Shore Art League. The League's story can be told through the eyes of many community members, one of them being Anita Willits Burnham. This Winnetka artist discovered a classic log house during a painting excursion in the spring of 1914. Built circa 1837, the log house became her permanent residence. She loved hearth and home, but often wandered outside into the world to find creative inspiration. Anita's travels around the world with her paint box earned her a reputation as someone with a zest for the artist's life. Art was Anita's true passion. Occasionally, rather than traveling the world to paint, accompanied by her five children, she'd choose to stay home near the log house to enjoy some painting in her own North Shore neighborhood. Anita occasionally accepted invitations from local artists to sketch at the scenic North Shore locations such as the Skokie Lagoons, the beachfront, and Hubbard Woods. The group was made up of 5 fellow art lovers: Mr. and Mrs. James Cady Ewell, Renee Lavenant, Lionel Robertson, and Lawrence Buck. They chatted about what the art world had in store for them. During one of their sketching excursions, the idea of a society for art came about, a gathering place for their group to have art exhibitions, classes, and lectures, an opportunity to put their art on the map. This was the humble beginning of the North Shore Art League. The weekly sketch group was energized by the idea of having a place to call home. They quickly mobilized to find a location. Because the concept of an art league predated the formation of many national art societies, the project must have been a very daunting task. But dreams became a reality when a community organization known as the Winnetka Community House also saw the need for arts in the community and quickly came to their aid. In November 1924, Chief J.W.F. Davies, a founder of the Community House, and Mrs. John Venema, wife of the Consul General to the Netherlands, invited the small arts group to meet in the campfire room to discuss their idea for an arts club. The Winnetka Community House offered space, which the arts group eagerly accepted. After all, the location was right in the heart of Winnetka and was a gathering place for local residents. This surely would be an appropriate venue for their arts club. They adopted a name and a mission. The object of this league shall be for the formation and exhibition of collections of objects of art, that it may develop a higher appreciation of art in the community. Rudolph Ingerle, an impassioned new member of the League's core group, was elected as its first board president. Discussions in the campfire room produced ideas for prominent exhibitions and lectures peppered with plans for social gatherings. Those with a $5 membership were invited to attend. An arts organization that would last over 80 years and build a national legacy was on its way. The League earned a reputation as a roaring good time, and its founding definitely deserved a celebration. Organizers quickly decided that a good old-fashioned ice cream social was in order. 5 blocks of the delectable frozen treat was the first expense to post to the League's account. The receipt remains a staple of the archive today. Then came the exhibits and the artists that made them a success. The League's first annual exhibit took place in 1926 in Matt's Hall at the Community House. More than 40 artists displayed their works. Membership at the League numbered 200, drawing residents from across the North Shore. Preceding the exhibit was an inaugural gala surrounded by the drawings, paintings, and sculpture. This exhibit was a first for many. Art at the show was priced from $20 up to the large sum of $1,200. The energy of the League became contagious. Talents arrived from far and wide and brought with them an unprecedented culture. Winnetka was soon revered as the arts hub of Chicagoland, forging relationships with such prominent arts organizations as the Art Institute of Chicago. In 1926, George Obertufer, an associate of the Salon d'Automne in Paris, was hired as the first teacher for the League. Around that same time, Dudley Crafts Watson of the Art Institute of Chicago became a regular lecturer for the League. His 1927 lecture at the opening of the North Shore Art League's annual art exhibition, The Fast Approaching Renaissance for which the North Shore is the vanguard, was well suited to the rapid growth and prominence of the League, credited to high profiles like himself. And the list of famed artists at the League went on and on. Sculptor and founder James Cady Ewell, a popular persona, became the first sculpture teacher at the League. The atmosphere in his class exemplified the art ideal imagined by League founders, seen in this popular photo of his class, filled to capacity. He was soon joined by a sculptress of great renown, Nancy Koonsman Hahn, who became a beloved teacher at the League for over 30 years. The League's prominence continued to spread beyond Winnetka and into the city, like wildfire in fact, as its members mounted an exhibit at the 1933 Century of Progress Fair held in Chicago. The League was represented by 30 of its members in a display of landscape and floral art. It seemed that the League's reputation would reach greater heights than ever imagined as its art was displayed for travelers from near and far. Despite its progress, the League's lucky streak would seemingly come to a halt. On the eve of December 24, 1930, the illustrious group of North Shore artisans found themselves without a home after a disastrous fire destroyed most of the original community house. The studio that embodied the spirit of the arts had burnt down too, and the hopes of the art community dwindled along with it. But all was not lost. The League bounced back from the fire with amazing resilience. Chief Davies of the community house had a deep appreciation for the arts. His late wife had been a local painter and arts enthusiast. He spearheaded the plan to build a beautiful, skylit studio for the League as a replacement to the quarters that had recently been burned to the ground. Determined to revitalize the League as a living, breathing place for the arts, its members joined Davies to raise $10,000 that was earmarked for the new studio, permanently allocated for the use of the League. They succeeded. Dedicated on March 13, 1932, the studio was resurrected and still stands today as one of the premier teaching studios in Chicagoland. Some of the artists had not yet realized their importance to the art world, as is the case with Hubbard Woods artist Fairfield Porter. At age 19, Fairfield had exhibited in the League's first show in Matt's Hall in 1926. Little did he know that 13 years later, the League would ask him to return and mount his first solo exhibit in the historic studio. He accepted the opportunity, albeit with much coaching from his mother. Perhaps the biggest part of the League's identity was the fact that its art events became the talk of the town. Socialites from across Chicago graced art talks and high teas. They served as hostesses at a variety of art activities like the New Horizons and Old Orchard art shows.